everyone, welcome to the Survivor Savant podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Newport, the self-proclaimed Survivor Savant himself, and today we are talking about the events that occur in Survivor. Sorry for that long pause there. In all honest, I believe to be honest, I believe it was the correct title for this episode. So, in this episode, we're down to the final 5. There used to be 16 of them, but now it's just down to 5. We got Lex, Kim Johnson, Ethan, Teresa, and Big Tom. I didn't know that it was supposed to be 4 down to 5, but I accidentally brought out the 5. Nonetheless, so as the days are starting to dwindle down, the castaways are starting to notice that their bodies are definitely taking a lot of toll, as Lex has noticed. You know, he's a lot more tired than he has been. He's definitely running low on fumes, despite whatever food that they can scrounge up in order to eat. He's been, from what I've noticed, he's been dealing with a lot of stomach issues, and it's really not been so great, and it's kind of been a bother to a lot of people, and I know it's been really taking on a toll on everybody here, and as much as everybody has been getting along with each other around camp, they've definitely been dealing with a lot of issues that they don't really quite take fondly of. Like, for example, with Ethan and the fact that Big Tom's got some really, really smelly feet. Like, the moment he takes off them boots and the moment his dogs are out, like, and by dogs I mean like toes, it's got a bad aroma, and he doesn't want to be anywhere near that. Ethan does. Which I don't blame him. I mean, if I was out there for so long and I haven't been washing up anytime, which in retrospect, hey, people have been washing up by the spring where they also get their water. But it ain't enough to get away that funky toe odor. I don't know why I'm having a hard time saying that or why it sounds weird, but odor. Good grief. And as we're on the subject on the spring where they get their water from, it turns out that the spring particularly, it had some visitors as the other castaways were trying to like get their water and also do some bathing, or laundry. I'd say I'd seen more laundry in that episode than I have done bathing, which thank goodness. So the visitors that came by were a couple of elephants, and yeah, apparently one elephant decided to leave a present behind for them to deal with. And by present, I mean elephant dung. Yep. Elephant decided to take a deuce in their spring. The same spring where they've been bathing, washing their clothes, and get their drinking water. But to be fair, they do boil it before they drink it, but still, not very satisfying. And not in retrospect, but Big Tom also notices that even though there are a couple of EDs, and for those of you who know abbreviation, you know what I mean. Kim Johnson is kind of like, so what? She still needs to wash her clothes, and Big Tom take notices of it, and he is so surprised that Kim Johnson doesn't have a care in the world and that she is cleaning her clothes in water that has been contaminated by. You might as well hit some technical problems difficulties sign here, because I cannot freaking get over it. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a clean freak or anything, or somebody who's very sanitized about things, but that is poo water. But I digress. So, after you know what, everybody's back at camp, and it's starting to notice that the longer they stay at camp, that the more that they're starting to get a little bit bored, and that there wouldn't be much to do other than work and chores and getting the water. But as they were all lying down and trying to get as much rest as they needed, which, by the way, they weren't the only ones resting. We saw a couple of clips of other animals like lions and leopards also getting some shut-eye. One of the chickens that they had previously in their camp, it got out of its cage, and it decided to roam around freely. It didn't walk out the camp, thank goodness, because a lion or a caracal will probably come out of nowhere and probably snatch it up, or a leopard, or cheetah. Would have caught it and probably started eating it. But Teresa, aka T-Bird, was saying that we're good friends and I will go get it. So she sneaks up behind the chicken, but the chicken was kind of running a little bit, not all over the place, like a creaky? Did I say creaky? Good grief. Like crazy, that's what I meant to say, crazy. Like a crazy chicken with its head cut off, even though it hasn't come to that yet. Just so everybody knows, we don't see the chicken get its head cut off. At least not on this episode or any other episode, which would be next, which is the last one. We don't see that happening. It might have happened behind the scenes, we don't know, but nonetheless. But Big Tom was lying down, and he was telling T-Bird to, like, just carefully bring it over to me. Like, get it. Like, she was walking towards it, and the chicken was, like, moving towards Big Tom. And as Big Tom was, like, almost half asleep, lying down, he grabs the chicken by the feet. And the chicken tried flying off, but it wouldn't happen. And then Teresa was trying to take it back, but Big Tom, jokingly was like, hey, trying to take a bite out of it, and she was like, no, Big Tom, no, oh, bad boy. And then Ethan was jokingly trying to, and get the chicken too. Give me that chicken! Like, they've been hungry for so long, and they were wrestling over it, even though Teresa had it in her hands. It's so fun seeing a couple of guys act like a bunch of cavemen, and like meat is the only thing that matters. But they realize, that was fun getting the chicken. Best entertainment they've had since. And they definitely considered releasing it again, just so they could catch it again. Which I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind doing. I mean, you gotta have as much fun and entertainment as you can out here, whether it be board games, cards, or sicking on a chicken. I almost said sicking on a chicken. Good grief. I meant to say sicking on a chicken. That is a Zach Brown reference. I mean, not that I was intending it, but it's a reference to a Zac Brown band song that I call, that's not what I call it, but it's called Sycamore Chicken. You know, Sycamore Chicken, Sycamore Chicken. I don't remember the rest of the song at the moment, although I love that song. But anyway, we get to day 30. No, wait, day 35, and it's said that we see the tribe members go to the tree mail, and everybody was shocked, surprised to see what would be there, and they were all happy to see what was there. There's envelopes for each of the 5 castaways that are left, and they're love letters from home. And everybody was really in a lot of tears about it, and really happy to see these love letters. You know, a couple of them got letters from their kids, from their spouses, from their families. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Love letters, I mean, nowadays in current Survivor, or the new era, as it's being called, love letters are equivalent to almost having your loved ones be with you. If you're reading something that you know is written from them, and every word that they say, you know that has them, then it's really, it would just bring someone to tears. I mean, not saying it would bring me to tears, because, you know, I'm trying to act all tough, but on the inside, I am very emotional about it. But no, having that nourishment from someone who you know back at home, who you're really missing a lot, is really comforting. And I know it was really comforting for them, just seeing those letters and knowing that it's getting closer to the end of this game, and they're gonna be home soon, and they're gonna see their loved ones real shortly. All right, now we get into the reward challenge. Now this challenge is all about sharp memory and getting to go on a surprise visit. That's what the tree mouse said. And they were doing something about, they were seeing about like writing or doing something with words, and one of them thought that they were gonna write a haiku or something, and then Tom was like, I can't even say haiku. And I'm like, Big Tom, you just said it. How could you not say haiku when you just said haiku? I love Big Tom. He has his moments. Can't help but love him. So it turns out the challenge is actually like a word search challenge, where there's not a lot of physical endurance and not a lot of like obstacles to get in the way, but it's just a simple word search puzzle. And there are different African words that need to be found in the word search. And once you got one word, cross it off. Some of the words are intersecting, and when you get all the words, you're gonna have to find every intersected letter in those words, and those letters will give a final answer and a clue hint that will be used to solve the final puzzle. First person to solve the final word will win a reward. And Jeff isn't saying what the reward is, so big heads up there. So we get into the word search. Lex, right off the bat, finds his first word, then Ethan, then Kim Johnson, Teresa found hers, then Lex found another. Ethan's trying to find his next one. Big Tom at first was having a hard time because he didn't know how to read. And it was really hard for him, but he eventually got it. So Big Tom was on the board. Out of all the people who were getting it, like Kim Johnson and Teresa were finding like 3 or 4. Ethan was finding about up to 5 or 6, and then Lex, being the comp beat he is on this season, was capable of finding all the words. And once he found all the words, he had to find all the letters that were intersected between 2 words and put them over or on a blank space. So he wrote down the letters, and then he got a final clue to what the last word he needs to write down in order to win the prize. It says, a natural occurrence / awesome power. Now, a natural occurrence is almost like a natural disaster, as it's kind of referring as. Or maybe it was natural disaster that it was said on there. I think it would make more sense if it was a natural disaster. Now, I was solving this puzzle as I was like going along because I myself am a big fan of word searches and word crossword puzzles. And when I saw natural disaster and when I saw the A's and the L and the CH and a V, I was like, avalanche. It's gotta be avalanche. And just as I said it, avalanche was the thing that Lex wrote down, and Lex won the reward. And boy, oh boy, this reward that Lex won was a bit of a doozy. And I say that because it's a big one. Now, of course, you got to go on the adventure with Big Tom. That's a good reward that anybody would love to go on. But this one is something that he could really take with him back at home. He got, oh boy, his reward was out in the open. Jeff took him there. It was blue. It had wheels, and it had chrome. And when he saw that Chevy logo, he was so shocked by it. It was a Chevy Avalanche pickup truck. Now, okay, it has been said that there have been car awards on Survivor before, and fun fact, throughout the last 2, we haven't seen anybody win a car in the first season, but Richard Hatch did win a car. And I know that Colby won a car, but he didn't win that season. He was close. He was in the final 2, but he didn't win that season. And then you got Lex coming in and winning this truck, and you know what? I'm going to stop myself there before I ruin everything else. But yeah, Lex won a brand new pickup truck. He gets to take that home with him, and he's going to have a little test drive with it. And with that, there's also an extra reward where in the back of the pickup truck were tons of medical supplies, like a year's worth of medical supplies. He's going to take this over to a hospital in the Wamba Village, owned and ran by this guy who founded it in the 1960s, and the donations that he had to open this hospital. Oh dang, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, this hospital is run by donations loaned by other people. And since then, he's been devoting his life to, the guy who's running it. It's this Italian doctor, and he's been dealing with trying to help out other villagers with who's been suffering from AIDS and AIDS slash HIV. And with this new supplies that they're going to be delivering and donating to the hospital, it's hopefully going to make some difference in that village and really save tons of lives. And I know T-Bird was really moved by this because her brother recently, not recently, I mean, it obviously happened around, I'm not sure when that happened, but Teresa said that her brother had died from AIDS, and little was known about that at the time, and nobody didn't really knew much about AIDS. But, you know, she was really moved by this, and the fact that they're helping a doctor who's devoted his life with trying to solve or cure people who are suffering from AIDS is really a noble and great cause. And while everybody head back to camp, Lex and Jeff took the truck with the supplies in the back. By the way, there's another truck that's carrying the other half of the supplies, and they're bringing that over. And when we arrive there, we see the doctor. He's there waiting along with his staff, and it was really moving just to see this. And I know that, for right now I'm dealing with some other things in my life. I know one of them is a relative that's really close to me, who's not dealing with HIV, just to clarify, but I know she's going through a lot, and knowing that right now with what I'm doing with him and helping her out is it's really emotional. And I know there have been times where it's been really hard on a lot of my family, but we just get through it and try to do the best we can. And just seeing this moment where they're giving these medical supplies to people who are suffering of AIDS, it's real cool. It really is cool. And then not only that, there's also amongst the supplies is a new type of drug that hopefully, when given those to women who are trying to get pregnant or are pregnant and trying to give birth to children, and they're also infected by AIDS, this will cause their kids to hopefully, if they are born, that they wouldn't have the same condition of AIDS. And it would be such a much higher rate that anybody would be so glad that this had happened. Like, it'd be incredible that if somebody who was infected with AIDS and they were able to bring a life into this world who isn't suffering from the same illness, it's really great. And while Lex was helping out, he's also met some of the people who were there, especially the kids in the pediatric ward. There were kids there who were dealing with AIDS, and he got to hand out toys to them, and it was really nice to see him interact with the kids and really have a lot of fun with them. And I know this much: I don't see a lot of rewards like this anymore, where they're being ambassadors of goodwill. Not in the new era, but yeah, you don't see like the rewards like that in the new era. But if I were to be a part of a great reward like that, it would be, honestly, it would just be really amazing to do, just to help out other people in need. It would be so, it would really be life changing if I was on it, just doing an experience like that. It really would. But yeah, it was just a real great moment to see. And if that ever happens to me in the future, if I ever get to be on Survivor, it would definitely be an adventure worth going on. But anyway, let's get into the rest of the game. So, obviously, it's starting to be noticed that Ethan, Lex, and Big Tom have had this trio alliance since their time on Baron, and there is a big risk that these three could possibly go to the final three before the final two and just fight it out there and see who would go. And that it would be the two women, Kim Johnson and Teresa, on the outs. And with Teresa especially, who's the last Sam Brewer member left in the game, is very worried that those, not only just those four, but those three particularly, could possibly take it all to the end. And she definitely has that fighting spirit with her, telling her that she needs to keep going and she needs to keep it strong. You know, she wants to win this just as badly as they do. It's really starting to take shape, and you know, she might have to go to really bad measures in order to do that. And not bad to where she starts acting villainous, but bad in that she has to fess up to the truth and maybe have to tell some lies that could possibly save her game. But anyway, we get into the immunity challenge. Now, this immunity challenge has to do with past mistakes and revisiting old challenges from the past. And by that, I mean there's about 6, I would say. There are 6 past obstacles that the 5 of them have to accomplish in order to win the immunity necklace. First one is to build a ladder with the different rungs that have different end shapes on them. Once they got that built, they have to crawl up to this net and get over to the other side. Next thing they do is they grab this wagon, and that's filled with puzzle pieces. They have to drag the wagon and over to the puzzle building station, where they take the puzzles and they solve the puzzle, which is kind of a replica of that face puzzle that was in episode 5, only on a much smaller scale and less pieces than more pieces. And once they're done with that, they move through the crawl under, and when they get through, there will be a bow and arrow waiting for them. Tons of arrows, just so you know, not just one. And the first person to hit their target, it wins immunity. Now, this is a really crucial challenge because we all know that Lex is a really big threat, and if he wins this, then he's safe. And if he doesn't win this, he could possibly be voted out, because everybody has seen Lex as a threat because of his game and how strategic he is. And the longer he stays in this game, and even Ethan, his ally, takes notices of it. And he was not upset. I mean, he was glad that he's won, but he really wanted to beat Lex in that one reward challenge. And he's just tired of losing to Lex. So, the challenge starts. Everybody starts on the ladder. They're getting pretty quick with it. They're trying to figure out which rung goes in which spot. And Lex and Ethan were first 2 to get her ladders done. Then Big Tom, they go up to the net. They go down the net and over to their wagon, and it's where they have to tug or pull and get it to her puzzle station. And the girls, they were following not falling behind, but they were following after. That's what I meant to say. Um, and then, and Lex got his puzzle done really fast, and he was able to go under or to crawl through really quickly. And he makes it to his bow and arrow station, and with just one arrow that he had, he fires it. Poof! His target bursts into flames. Lex wins immunity. And as Jeff said, as it had like a different home with Big Tom because he won the last immunity, it seems to like have a permanent home with Lex. Almost as if it's shown that Lex has been the only comp beast this season. He has won the immunity necklace 3 times. Teresa's won it once, Ethan's won it once, Big Tom's won it once. Is it going to be possible to beat Lex's winning streak? Will it be possible? But that's yet to be determined in the future. Sorry for that quick cut, guys. I was informed, or at least asked by somebody if they wanted to have lunch, but I told them that I was doing my podcast. But anyway, back to it. So Lex won immunity again, and it's obvious that they had to find someone else to vote for other than Lex. Of course, Teresa's very worried about it because she's the last Hamburger standing, and she's worried about going home, and which would be a worrisome thing for anybody to really be afraid of. But she possibly had an idea that could work out for her. She wanted to be honest with Lex and tell her what she knew. So when she knew that Big Tom was once considering to get out of Lex because of him standing up for Brandon before he got voted out and rather trusting his own allies, so Teresa took Lex and talked to him. Now she's being straight up about her saying that she was the one extra vote that her and Clarence placed on Lex, and that the extra vote wasn't from Kelly. Lex, understandably so, does take that with a little grain of salt, and is not upset, but he was surprised by hearing this. And not only that, but he's also shocked to hear that Big Tom was considering on getting rid of Lex because of him and his friendship or alliance with Brandon. And Lex was very hurt by this, and he honestly wanted to move on Big Tom while he still can now, before he had the chance to get him out. If he had a chance to stab me in the back when I didn't notice, I'll cut his throat. That's what he said. And I'm like, dang. Lex is really not joking when it comes to his alliances. If anyone turns on him, they're gone. Like that. And I'm like, well, gotta be careful with who you're aligning with then, if you don't want that to happen. But yeah, what Teresa's hoping to accomplish with this is that if she can get Kim Johnson to vote with Teresa, and Lex to vote with Teresa, and the 3 of them vote out Big Tom, then Teresa would still be in the game. She'll be able to go to the Final Four with Lex, Ethan, and Kim Johnson, and Big Tom would be on the jury. Which, by the way, I feel like there's some bit of foreshadowing here, but I can't quite place it where. That'll come in the future. Anyway, we get to tribal council. Now we see the jury arrive, and Kelly, who's on the jury, she wears this tank top that says "Shameless." And the reason why is because during their time in the merge, the castaways have been talking about what it's like to be one of the jury and then going and arriving at tribal council as people who used to be contestants but were voted off and are aka losers. And I think the reason why she's wearing that because they have talked about that word as like a word to describe somebody who's played this game as hard as they can and are on the jury. They're shameless, you know. The moves that they made, whether they get voted out or have, if they're still in the game, they're shameless. And, you know, it's a word that they've talked about for a while. They didn't really think much into it, but now it really does, like, come into play here. And, you know, it's really come down to a point now where each vote that they make could possibly hinder their game. And no matter what happens, the jury is going to ultimately be the ones who come up with your fate in this game, whether you win or don't win. And that's something everybody definitely has to consider when voting someone out. So, with that said, we get into the voting. Now, Big Tom votes for T-Bird. Ethan votes for T-Bird. T-Bird votes for Big Tom. And Kim Johnson votes for T-Bird. Lex votes for T-Bird. Unfortunately, that's 4 votes. T-Bird is voted out and is the 5th member of the jury. Even though Baron might have its cracks in the alliance, they still stood strong and were able to get all of the Samburu people out, leaving only 4 Baron left. It's crazy. Sorry to see you go, T-Bird. I loved you in this game, and I'm not gonna lie, if you do get picked for Survivor 50, I'm hoping you win.